Good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us for Tuesday's Crime Unveiled with Courtney Bennett. Tonight, we're actually talking about a case out of Ohio, but it has Michigan connection. So this is about a 1994 homicide case, and the person in this case has been identified. And the AG's office in Ohio held a news conference this afternoon, and identified this person that, again, was a 1994 homicide case. The body was found back in 2001. And decades later, they've been able to what they refer to as a John Doe. They now have a name to the skeletal remains that they had found back in 2001. So I'm going to share a little bit of sound from today's press conference. This is the Attorney General down in Ohio.
This is kind of a bittersweet announcement. There's the excitement, of course, of accomplishment. Decades-long investigation can now be closed. At the same time, it's a sobering reminder that behind every cold case is a family, a victim that had friends and a life, loved ones. My heart goes out to the victim's family. I know they're watching right now from Michigan. My condolences to all of you. I hope that this gives you some sense of closure after all these years.
And again, this is a 1994 homicide case. The victim in this case being identified today as Anthony Gully from Pontiac. His remains were found December 22nd, 2001. He was reported missing, though, September 11th, 1994. I'm going to pull up just this. So this is from Stark County. This is the John Doe. So this was the reported missing, again, September 11th, 1994, Anthony Gully. They did a digital facial reconstruction image, and this is what you see right here. Then they did a clay facial reconstruction image. Now, when the skeletal remains were found, those were found back in 2001 in Canton, Ohio. They weren't able to identify whose remains those were because of DNA analysis. Now, the AG's office, as well as the DNA Doe Project, who was also at this news conference earlier today, they discussed a little bit about how advancements in DNA technology has led to so many of these unsolved, these cold cases, has helped these families, identify these people in these cases. So this is the news release down there in Stark County. They referred to this as a John Doe because they didn't know whose remains they were until today. Making that announcement today is Anthony Gully. Now, he's believed to be a homicide victim from Pontiac. At the age of 24, he was reported missing in 1994. So again, just a case that dates back decades, but finally, this family has the answers that they sought for so long. Now, the same month that Gully went missing, detectives from Akron Police Department, they were told to be on the lookout for a 22-year-old man from Michigan, George Frederick Washington. He had ties to Akron, Ohio. Now, Washington was a suspect in 2 rapes and an armed robbery, and investigators also suspected him in the disappearance of Gully. Gully's car was found burned in Akron on September 11th. So again, he's reported missing September 11th, and the car was found. I apologize. September 12th is when that car was found. Now, so he goes missing in 1994. His skeletal remains are not found until December 22nd, 2001. However, they don't know whose remains they are, so they just refer to this case as a John Doe. So they were able to find these remains in Canton, Ohio, and that again was December 22nd, 2001, and they worked to identify the remains, but they couldn't. But now with DNA technology and obviously a lot of partnerships from local law enforcement, they were able to figure out that this was Anthony Gully. Anthony Gully, who was from Pontiac here in Michigan, ended up all the way down in Ohio. And the AG's office releasing all of this information today during that news conference. Investigators actually had help from the DNA Doe Project. That's a nonprofit. We've had them on Crime Unveiled before, just talking about the work that they do to help identify people in these cold cases. And they use investigative genetic genealogy to help in unsolved, to the Does that are out there, the Jane Does, the John Does. So again, they've been able to identify Anthony Gully, and they said that he reclaims his true identity. Something that the AG had mentioned when we played that soundbite a little bit ago. He said that this is bittersweet. They've worked on this case. One thing that he said later on in the news conference is that they never forgot about this case. However, they weren't able to identify the remains. Obviously, the AG's office, they don't work to identify, but it was a whole partnership with the sheriff's office as well. But they weren't able to do that without the partnership. So again, the DNA Doe Project helped out, the sheriff's office. They also mentioned Ohio State for reconstructing that, the clay reconstruction image to help. So again, all of these partnerships were able to identify who we now know is Anthony Gully from Pontiac, Michigan, a case that dates back to 1994. So it's been a long time coming for this family. Investigators did say that they had been in talks with the family as well, obviously letting them know that they've been able to identify their loved one. If you want to learn more information about the DNA Doe Project, there's also a link on this news release, and you can see all of the work that they're doing to identify these cases. But we'll go ahead and link everything on our website, midmichigannow.com, under the digital desk tab, and we'll have information about this case. So again, a case dating back to 1994, Anthony Gully was identified today in a news conference down in Ohio. He's originally from Pontiac. And just that family, I can't imagine what they're going through tonight, knowing exactly, what happened and where their loved one is tonight. So I just want to thank you all for joining us for Crime Unveiled on this Tuesday evening. We'll be back next week with another Crime Unveiled with Courtney Bennett. I hope that you enjoy your night.